Hello, families. Welcome to sixth grade. I'm Mrs. Leith, and if your student is in my homeroom, that means I teach them science and social studies, and I teach all of the sixth graders math, unless they receive services from someone else. So here is the virtual locker that I assigned to my homeroom students. I shared this one with them. In the upper right corner, you see a picture of my family. That's me on the right. And then next to me is my son Carter. He's in fifth grade this year. In the middle is our daughter Casey. She is a freshman this year. Next to her is Cooper, our son, who is in second grade. And then there is my husband. Underneath our picture, I have a picture of I love math because math is my favorite subject. It has been my favorite subject since I was a little girl. Under that, I put a picture of sushi. That's my favorite meal. I could probably eat it a few times a week and not get tired of it. Next to that, I have a picture of Laffy Taffy because that is my favorite candy. I have a hard time controlling myself when that is in the house. Above that, I have a picture of a breast cancer awareness ribbon. This summer, I found out that I had breast cancer, but I was extremely fortunate and we were able to take care of it pretty much this summer. I'm doing very well. I do have one more surgery in October, so I will miss a couple of weeks of school, but I plan to make sure I have videos and assignments already uploaded for them so things will go smoothly while I'm gone. Then I have a Be Kind sticker because I think it's always important to remember we don't know what other people are going through and we need to make sure we treat people with respect and be kind to everyone. Under that, I put a half marathon sticker. That is the longest I've ever ran. One of my hobbies is running. I would probably run another half marathon if I had the time to train. I've only ran one, and that was last summer. And now I can hardly run 2 miles. Underneath of that, I have my Bitmoji of me reading because that's my other hobby. I love to read. I read every day. I love young adult books and kids' books. And if your student has a need for a book recommendation, I could probably find one that they might enjoy. Above that, I have a picture of our dog, Barney. We got him from a shelter. We don't know exactly what breed he is, but we believe he has some pit bull and maybe some Great Dane in him. His face definitely has the pit bull face, but he is extremely tall. So that's why we think maybe Great Dane. And then we have our cat. We're going to name her Pebbles, but we really just call her Kitty. Everybody calls her Kitty. And I would say that she might be a little overloved by some of my children. Next, we have a picture of our classroom. This is where your students sit during math and during science and social studies. As you can see, the seats are spread apart. The seats that are right next to each other, only one person is able to sit in that spot because we want to make sure we stay at least 6 feet apart. Normally, I like to have students grouped together and working together on assignments, but this year is just a little different, so we had to spread out. Here you can see in the back of our room, I put up the daily schedule. That way when students come in, they know exactly what we're doing. And the other sixth grade teachers and I make sure we stay with this routine as much as possible unless we have a little interruption like a fire drill or pictures, something like that. So in the very beginning, when they get here, they get organized. And then they have math with me if they're in my homeroom. After math, every teacher takes 10 minutes to sanitize all of the desks and any supplies that students will be sharing, and they get ready for their next class. So my homeroom then goes to Mrs. Thomas's room for reading. Once again, after that, we take some time to sanitize all the desks and supplies, and we also go outside for a mask break. We go into the front yard for about a half hour, and students are allowed to chat and run around and have a break and kind of like a recess time. When we come back in, my homeroom students go to writing with Miss Wells. And then we sanitize again and come back into our own classroom. And the kids eat lunch in here because there's not enough room in our cafeteria for everyone to spread out. I think they've enjoyed it so far. We put on a Netflix show and they get to eat and talk to each other and just have a little time. If your student is in choir or band, they go to that after lunch. Choir is on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and band is held on Mondays and Thursdays. So that way, regardless of which day your student comes in, they're able to go to one choir and one band class. The students who are in the classroom with me will have a study hall type of time, or if they're struggling with something, I will work with them to try to help them reteach them a lesson. After they come back from choir and band, we start science or social studies. This year in 6th grade, we do one subject at a time. So we're currently working on a science unit, and when we finish it, we'll move to a social studies unit. And we'll go back and forth so that students are always studying either science or social studies. Finally, we take time at the end of the day to get organized, because I know it's important for students to have a heads up on what they will be expected to do at home the next day. And then at the very end, they go to specials. They will have music with Mr. Napolitano, art with Mrs. Mulvani, and PE with Mrs. Block. And the way we're working specials this year is this, for example, this week, my students went to music every day. So they still go to the special twice a week. Sadly, they only get the special every 3 weeks, though. So that's what a day looks like in here. Here is the front of our room. It's our learning area. I use the smartboard for a lot of lessons. And as you can see, I have a gold and a blue bulletin board in the front. So on the blue bulletin board, I wrote down the notes that we took together on the day the blue students were here. On the gold bulletin board, I did the same thing. So that way, if your student is a gold student, they can come in and see the notes that we took on the day they weren't here. I also encourage students to take notes while they're watching their videos at home, because I let them use their notes. It's a resource for the tests that we take. Here is a picture of the Chromebooks that we have in the classroom. I'm very fortunate to have 8 Chromebooks in here that students can use. We are allowing students to bring in their own devices this year to prep them and help them to get through things that they don't know how to do on their own device for their remote learning days. These are also sanitized between each class so that students can stay healthy. Here's a picture of our classroom library. As you can see in the close-up, I've organized it by genre to try to help students pick a book that they will enjoy. This year, Mr. Reno is visiting the classroom with an abundance of books that he believes that 6th graders will enjoy, different types, and they'll also be able to check out books from the school library. I do not mind if they take my classroom library books home, just as long as they bring it back, please. And then I set it aside so that it can be sanitized before it goes back into the library. And I know it's important for your student to be reading every day, because Mrs. Thomas is asking that they take AR tests and have an AR goal each semester. Here's one of the favorite things normally in our classroom. It's the whiteboard table. This is used for small groups when I'm teaching small groups a lesson to help individualize my lessons for different needs for them. So this year I plan to only have 2 or 3 students at the table at the time. They can write directly on the table and erase it. They tend to have fun with that. If your student is in a small group table, I won't keep them more than 10 minutes, and I will spread them out as much as I can during our small group lesson. Finally, I have an abundance of school supplies that are on the list. That way, if someone forgot something or they need to take something home to use, I am more than happy to share. And then when if they bring it back because they finished using it, I set it aside to sanitize for someone else to use. So Google Classroom is what the 6th grade teachers are using on their remote learning days. And your students are doing a wonderful job logging in, and they're getting better every day at finding their assignments. But as you can see, this is my Google Classroom. These are my classes. Your students' Google Classroom classes have reading, writing, PE, math, science, social studies, and any other activity that they're involved in. And a quick tip is you can see underneath of the classrooms here, that is where they have their assignments are posted. And so when they log into this page, they can easily click on one of the assignments and it goes straight there for them. They should also be checking the actual page though, because the announcements that I put on there don't show up on this screen. So it's always good for them also to go to the first page of the classroom. I've also invited all of you to join the Google Classroom so that you can get updates and see how your students doing. So I've attached all of the email addresses that you might need for me, Mrs. Thomas, Ms. Wells, and Mrs. Kahn. These are all of the teachers who your student might work with for learning. And you can email us any time of the day to ask questions, or if your student is struggling with something while remote learning. You can also call the school to contact us, and we are all more than happy to have your student come in after school hours, which is after 2 o'clock, or on Friday when we have the full day here. And we'll make an appointment for your student to come in if they need help with an assignment, or they need to catch up, or they have questions about something. We're here for you guys. So thanks for visiting, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon.